All right, so the 3 fundamentals of financial independence. Our first one up is retirement age. Now, that is about as simplified as it can get because that's just a number, right? Well, let's kind of dive in there because really what this is getting at is longevity. When you talk about financial independence, at its core, you're talking about replacing your paycheck, replacing your income, and never going back and getting it from an employer again, right? So your assets and your guaranteed income streams are going to have to sustain you. And the question is, how long is it going to have to sustain you? The back end of that is very unknown, obviously. According to macro trends, the average life expectancy in the U.S. is around 79. But of course, that's from birth. So if you're closing in on retirement right now, your odds of outliving that 79 are pretty good. Now, that sounds like an exact number, but of course, that's an average. So we don't know how long anyone is going to live. And then you duplicate that if you have a household, if you have 2 spouses that we're preparing a retirement income plan for. You don't know how long both of them are going to live. There's a very good chance, we've seen the data too, that if 2 people are healthy at 65 years old, there's a better than 50-50 chance one of them will live past age 90.
Yeah, and the challenge that you've got is not running out of money before you run out of time. Those are things that oftentimes people just kind of look at that and go, what do I do with that? How do I figure this out? Because nobody knows when they're going to pass away. How do you begin to even address that? Am I going to leave money on the table, or am I going to run out and run short? Those are things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and there are several ways to address this. One of them is a Social Security strategy, and we're not going to delve into that quite yet because that's another topic for today. But that is definitely a factor in your longevity challenge. If you think you're going to have a longer than average lifespan, then it's a critical decision for you to really pay attention to that. And another thing you guys have already alluded to is, at some point we go from 2 spouses to 1, and it is very rare for both spouses to go together or even close in time. So there's an elongated period of time where you might be living solo. And what does that mean for you when you're talking about a longer lifespan? Guys, when my children were born, both of them, when they were born and the doctor handed them to me for the very first time in the hospital, he looked at me with each of them and said, this child, barring any anomaly, will live to 100. And when I think about my grandparents lived to 88, they made it past the average. I think it's very important for us to understand that the averages don't really matter. You've got to pay attention to your personal health and your family history. Those things matter, but we have more medical advantages than what we had in the past. And so the question is, are you financially prepared to be here longer than you might have thought you were going to be here?